Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's Sunday after July the 4th. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about exploring the 8 limbs of yoga. So, we practice so much yoga, and it's been such a sonic practice, meaning a physical practice, right? And through that physical practice, something draws us into the practice of yoga. There's so much more to yoga. And yoga really is many things to many different people. The truth is that whatever yoga serves for you at this very moment is exactly what it is and what it should be exactly for you. Many Westerners refer to yoga as a sacred practice to aspire to, but according to the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the first book of Yoga Sutra is all about self contemplation. Simply put, yoga provides the yogi with the inner guide to begin their ultimate journey to self. The duality and the paradox of life is not something to resist and argue against. Rather, we learn the fine art of acceptance through the practice of yoga. And that's a beautiful thing. The sacred practice does so much more than get our bodies to contort and stretch. While that still feels good and it's a large part of many of our practices, it allows us also to cultivate wisdom and beauty in all things, both good and bad. And by so doing, we all emerge more peaceful and full of joy over what is and loving what is, rather than disgruntled about what it isn't and getting focused on the glass being half empty versus glass being full, right? So let's talk a little bit and explore the 8 limbs of a path of yoga is as follows. Okay, there's the number one yamas, which consist of 5 moral constraints, the don'ts. The first thing is ahimsa, which is non-violence. Satira is mindfulness, and asteya is non-stealing. Brahmacharya is in moderation, right? Like just taking part, even as food, we're just taking enough for us, not in excess. And aparigraha is non hoarding. Second path is niyamas, which consist of 5 observances. These are the do's, right? What you should do. So, first is saka, which is purity. Second is santosa, which is contentment. Third is tapas. It's zeal for life and austerity. And fourth is svad. I always have a tongue twister here. Svadhyaya, which is the self study, and isvara, pranid, pranidayana, which is devotion to a higher power. So that's the second limb of the 8 path of yoga, right? The third is the asana, which are the postures that we practice in yoga. And then fourth is pranayama, which is the mindful breathing. And pratyahara, which is tuning inward, which is the fifth limb. This is the transition of a yogi from the externally focused world to a yogi's inner path, to the inner being. Pratyahara. Okay, that's the fifth limb. And then dharana is concentration, which is the sixth limb. It's one pointed focus, right? And dhyana is a meditation, which is the seventh. And then eighth is samadhi, which is the ultimate union of self with the universe. It's complete oneness with thought. You emerge and you become everything else. So there is no separation or duality that exists at this limb. And according to the 8 limb path of yoga, you can clearly see the focus is from external conduct into in the world of don'ts and do's to then turning inward for the inward focus, where we can find physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual exploration to ultimately arrive to be diffused of any separation from the infinite love of the universe, universal energy, so to speak. or your God, whatever that your belief system or religion might be. So I used to think this was so esoteric and hard to grasp. In fact, for a long time, I rejected it until slowly but surely it became inevitable to clearly see the practice of yoga naturally brings you to an inner awareness that is second to none. Unlike any other physical exercise forms, I've explored Pilates, I've explored bar, I've explored aerobics, running, cycling, whatever it is. Nothing like the practice of yoga draws you inward. In fact, it becomes inevitable. So I'm hoping that you guys would see and explore this and be open to the possibilities. And don't define yoga as what you think it ought to be, but be open to the possibilities. I learned too that yin and yang are both necessary in life, as are many dualistic forces in life. We need the moon and the sun, the acid to the alkaline spectrum, hot to cold, sadness to experience joy. We need the light in the darkness, and positive and negative, etc. In fact, these forces are what drives everything in life. It's when we can grow and evolve through the practice of yoga that we can learn the fine art of acceptance and surrender to what is. This surrender allows us to be finally be liberated from the shackles of our limited mind, full of ego, to explore the vastness of the universe and all of its possibilities, and ultimately find love and connectivity to all others that you exist, including the trees, other beings, the annoying people in your life. You can find peace in knowing that ultimately we are one. The moment we try to I'm sorry. The key is to open to the practice, and as you embark on your path, bring curiosity and purity of your being, simply to explore rather than make it what it ought or should be. Because we bring so much of our ideologies and conditioned mindsets to everything that we do, that that's the shackle that keeps us limited in our thought and prevents us from growing ultimately. The moment we try to grasp it, define it, and attach to it, we miss the whole essence of yoga. So, being wise, as I'm learning, is so much more grounding than being smart. Being smart in this world is very limiting as it is attached to what is tangible, right? And being wise provides us, on the other hand, with the ability to see the unseen and be true to our inner intuition versus intellect, to live our lives with discipline and focus in truly being and true to our core inner being, which ultimately brings us back to expand above and beyond the vastness of this world, the vastness of this energetic force in our lives that's available to us at every moment is one we need to keep tapping into. So, in summary, yin represents the inner being, and the four limbs of yoga is all about how to conduct ourselves in the outer world, right? It's finding our identity and understanding that dualistic nature of our lives, and really understanding the art of acceptance through these experiences that we have. And fifth limb is the ultimate transition from the external focus to the inner world. And the last three limbs leads us to the innermost being, which ultimately brings us to be one with the universe. It's the ultimate union without polarity or duality. It's being one and diffused. You're here and everywhere, so to speak. It is in this intuition versus intellect, right? And it's in the tangible to the unseen. It's in this spectrum you realize to trust in the process. So I want to encourage you guys as you practice yoga today, which is mostly asanas, the purity of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual faculties require us to always know our true north. A clarity in destination is key to life or living a fulfilling life. We learn that the path of yoga is not a linear one. It's convoluted and it's difficult at times because life is suffering, right? But we find inner wisdom and cultivate love and patience from within to take us to our ultimate self healing journey that yoga is. And yoga truly provides you with that path. So I hope you're enjoying your practice today. And I encourage you to continue to practice, continue to tune in as you practice and master the asanas that provide you with the mastery of mind body, this connectedness, occupying your body through the physical practice of yoga, the neuromuscular to musculoskeletal, to cultivating coordination through dynamic movement, exploring our world, understanding structure, but also understanding that there's freedom in the movements that you can explore, the flexibilities, sometimes finding stability and then moving towards strength is the whole spectrum and the full experience of yoga that it offers us. So, namaste, and I hope you continue to enjoy your practice, and I'll see you guys all next week.